Hey everyone, my name is Johnny Lawrence and I want to introduce you to something a little bit different. I want to introduce you to the Strength Shed Sessions. Hi everyone, my name is Johnny Lawrence and I'm here today to do something a little bit different. It's something I'm calling the Strength Shed Sessions, and basically the idea here is that I'm going to interview people that I respect locally. If you're not on it, it doesn't mean I don't respect you, it just means I haven't thought of you yet. And in the first interview, I've got Deborah Baker with me, but before I get into it, I just want to explain the whole Strength Shed Sessions concept. This gym that you see me do my videos in every week, this is called the Strength Shed, affectionately known as the Strength Shed, and it's a wooden building, hence the shed. But the strength bit is important to know is not just about strength physically, it's also about strength mentally. I believe that people come in here and they become physically and mentally stronger, hence it being called the Strength Shed. Anyway, Deborah Baker. Who is Deborah Baker? Deborah Baker to me is somebody I met a few years ago when I was doing the last year of my degree. I thought I had it tough. She had it way worse. While she was doing her degree, she was also running her own business, and she was also prepping for a competition. I haven't prepped, but I have been in a calorie deficit with a lot of workload, thanks to somebody, and it was hard. So how on earth she did a degree, I have no idea, but I'm going to find out. So, Deborah Baker.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm always good, mate. You know that. How have you been since last time I've seen you, apart from your pleasure in torturing me weekly?
I've been good. Been obviously struggling with not having the equipment I want for training, but I've persevered and got my own bedroom gym as you've seen, so I've been doing alright.
You've not done bad though, I mean,
I'm doing alright.
You're still looking pretty good, so, you know.
Why aren't you looking like me?
I don't want to answer that question. This is the sort of thing I deal with, you see. Yeah, but I don't know if I explained it. Debs is my coach. November was it? You said?
Yeah, I think it was last November.
I got in contact with Debs because I was just coming off the back of powerlifting. I'd got a little bit heavy and just wanted to get back in shape. I've been trying for a little while, and my ethos is always do more. So I basically smashed myself into the ground, thinking I'd be in a calorie deficit and do lots of work. She told me off, told me I was an idiot, and set me on the right path. So that's that. But I mean, it's not about me, it's about you.
Everything's about me.
It is about you, absolutely. Especially now, it's about you. We'll start off with a bit about you. I've got a list of questions here. Mm-hmm. Where did you grow up and what was it like?
So I grew up a little bit all over the place, to be honest. So all of my other siblings were born and raised outside the sort of London area, because my parents are from there. And then I was brought up in Cornwall. And then we decided around the age, I think I was like 7, we migrated to Spain, and then I had a majority of my childhood there as well. Wow. Yeah, so I lived out there for a little bit.
You speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish, yes.
Multi-talented.
I know. Yeah. So and then from there, sort of my parents' divorce, it was like not a nice process to go through. No. And then we had to move back to Cornwall again. This is around up to about the age of 12, so I was in and out of schools quite a lot, so in terms of that it was difficult, but it was quite a normal sort of process for me at that point, because I moved all over the place, so
normal.
Yeah, I mean it was normal, I didn't really mind, so I'm quite adaptable to situations, so it didn't really bother me too much and that sort of thing, but yeah, that's just a sort of rough sort of thing of where I've been as a kid.
Where was your favourite place when you grew up?
I'm gonna say, even though I had a lot of hardship abroad due to my dad, I would still say Spain's probably one of my favourite places, because I had the freedom of, I used to do stuff like motocross, I used to go out
Motocross, cool.
Yeah, and used to go out and pick your own sort of you go pick mushrooms and stuff, and not mushrooms like that, that's for later in life, but I mean mushrooms for cooking. So you just do cool stuff like that, you know, it was again learning new language, learning new culture, tradition, and they're quite hard working in South Spain as well. They're very similar to Cornwall actually in terms of their ethos and things like that. So for me that was quite interesting to be brought up in a different country, different tradition, and you know it's something that I can look back on and be like, well, I've actually done this early on in my life, so I feel like I've grown more than I should have done. So I've had to grow up quite quickly due to what I've done. So I think it's benefited me in the long run.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to spend time in Spain in the sunshine. I mean,
too hot sometimes though. That's obviously why I have siestas. I know it was too hot, and I never got a tan either. Still as pale as I am now.
Listen, I'm not going to play a tan game with you, man. I'm going to win that hands down, I'm afraid.
You are.
Anything else to add to that?
I know. I mean, unless you want to ask anything else on it, I don't want to ramble on too much.
No,
Unless you find there's something interesting there you want me to sort of elaborate on.
No rambling on. No. I mean, so when you moved back to Cornwall, what age was that?
11 or 12. So I was in Spain for about 5 years.
So is that your secondary school experience where you've been?
So yes, I just finished primary, and then I had about a year out from school entirely. So my mum did homeschool us for a little bit, and then I came back and I went straight into Richard Lander, the new building that looks like a prison, that one.
Okay.
And it's quite difficult because all of those kids grown up with each other from their primary schools, and they weren't very accepting. They were you know what kids are like in school. They were quite harsh in terms of like bullying and things like that. So for me, it was quite hard to adapt. I did obviously find friends, but I was due to my upbringing, I was very sort of shut off from people. I didn't really care too much. I sort of just went there, did what I did, and my English was rubbish.
Really?
It was absolutely awful. Like, because I'd been in Spanish school for that time, I'd not really had any. They covered English, but it was them teaching English to the Spanish students. It's very basic for me.
How interesting.
My mum obviously kept me going, but when I came back, the sort of calibre I'd say they want you to work at in an English school, I was nowhere near. I was on E-levels, but I did, when I finished school, I did come out with A's in literature and language, and I also got like an award for progression on it. So because it annoyed me so much, I wasn't good at it. I worked my way from bottom set right the way up.
I'd imagine that's a strong trait of yours.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
You can't do what?
I was like, how dare you?
So, obviously you'd have gone through your school experience, but when was it that you were drawn to the fitness industry?
I mean, seriously, I would say literally about 5 years ago. I used to sort of, in school and everything, I used to do running and sprinting. I used to really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then you get to your teenage years where, I used to skip PE class all the time. I didn't want to go to it. I hated it. The only thing I wanted to do was basketball, and they wouldn't let me do it because that was a boys' sport and netball was the girls' sport. So I did get in trouble one time.
Do you remember that?
I did bounce a ball off the floor and it hit a girl in the face with a glass. I didn't do it on purpose. And then I got banned from playing netball. So
banned?
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to play it. And then when it came to sports day and I wanted to do like 100-metre sprint or whatever they were at the time, I always got shunted and given the 1500 metres, which I didn't like doing because I wasn't an endurance-based athlete. I was.
Was that later in school? Or
so that was towards the end. So was it year 10, isn't it? Is it towards the end?
Years, really.
It's over 10 years ago now, but I think probably year 10.
Because you was a very different. I mean, I've seen photographs of you on your Instagram. You was a very different build then, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've transitioned between so many different body types and desires of what I want to look like. Obviously, I was a fashion model as well at one point. Where I would
throw that in there, just
a little bit. But I came out of that industry just because it didn't depict the way I wanted to live my life. It was very much.
That's really wise of you.
Yeah, my sister still does it. I mean, like she's actually quite good with it in terms of like she doesn't starve herself and she doesn't not eat. Like I've been around her plenty. She eats enough. She's quite fit and healthy. But it was the point for me. I wanted to look a certain way, and to get there, I had to do things I didn't want to do. And I thought, I've had enough of this.
Wow, you've had a lot of insight into different things.
Yeah.
That's got to make you the coach you are, to be fair.
Yeah, and that's why I can understand people that maybe are struggling, like they can't eat, they're afraid of eating stuff, or maybe they think that they have to undereat to lose weight. So for me, it's like I have that firsthand from the modelling experience, and also now from doing bodybuilding. It's obviously very restrictive when you're prepping for shows. So I'm kind of can empathise on that aspect with people.
Did you ever feel that you maybe were getting close to having an eating disorder, or did you?
I think I had an eating disorder, to be honest. My mum and my brother did sit me down at one point.
Really?
I was eating, I know what I was eating because it was the same thing every day. It would be midday, I'd have a jacket potato. I mean, it could have been something between 200 and 250 grams. Half a can of baked beans and a tin of tuna, and that would be my food for the day.
Wow.
And
all day?
Yeah, all day. And my mum would sit me down and say, and I used to run all the time, and my mum said, look, you're just too skinny. I think I was weighing probably around 45 kilos at that point.
Wow, so
5 foot, just under 5'6", so
Blimey.
Well, yeah, it wasn't good.
What would you say to yourself? Now.
I'll probably give myself a slap in the face, to be honest. Yeah. I would have done the same thing my mum did.
As well, she would.
Yeah, I would. I definitely would.
So that's interesting. So, because my next question was going to be, what is the hardest thing you've ever been through in your life? And I think you're going to struggle to pick by some of it.
I mean, like, for me, like, that's quite a sort of, I don't know, like, I'd say cosmetic, I'd say, because that's just where I looked at mindset. But I mean, I don't really talk about it very often, but I had quite a hard, like, childhood, not from my mum aspect or anything like that, just from my dad being the way he was. Like, he was very abusive towards all of us. Yeah. He did leave us in a foreign country with no money. Wow. He cleared out our bank accounts. I had to leave my pets in Spain. You know, like
you're a big animal person as well, aren't you?
Yeah. And I mean, it's a tough time. Like, obviously, like, came back and I knew luckily they were homed in places where they were looked after. You know, but you know, as a kid at 7 years old, that's difficult. You know,
it really is.
You know, it's horrible. But I don't blame, like, anything that happens in my life now. I don't blame on the past. It's something that I think it's done and dusted, and you can't sort of live off past events like that. The only thing it can do is facilitate the way you think and move forward. So that's how I've used it. I think I have anyway.
Couldn't have said that about myself. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That is pretty cool. That is, what do you say to that? It's pretty inspirational, to be fair.
Yeah, but it is. But I don't want to come off as like people to like sympathise and be like, oh, this is my sob. I don't use, I'm gonna say it's a sob story, but I don't use it very often. Like, you didn't even know that about me before this, did you? No. So like, I'm trying to be like quite open and be like that. People go through hardships and stuff, but they don't. People like don't let them define you. I mean, it does define me, but it's made me who I am today in a better way. So I
mean, I totally resonate with that. I understand that. You probably know, everyone in the world does now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I resonate with that, and it's a tough thing to come back from. So.
Yeah, it is, and it's just, I think it's the way you react to it again. If you let it like sort of control you and be like, this is why I'm the way that I am because of this, in a negative way. You're creating that, you're making yourself that way in a negative way. But if you say, I'm the way I am now because I don't want to be like that, it's a complete opposite, isn't it?
I mean, you're quite a fierce character. I mean that in a nice way.
I'm an arsehole, yeah, but
not an arsehole. No, I mean,
beat that out.
There's a story, isn't there, from uni where you're walking to your car. Chaps threw something at you.
That's right. You can tell him if you want.
Was it condom? Was it?
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't used. If it was used, I think there would have been blood. But
oh my god. No. Well, yeah. Someone threw a condom at you, and you soon made them regret that.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I don't know why you would do that to someone. No, I mean, luckily it was me. In a way, if that was someone else, like a younger girl with very low self-esteem, self-confidence. I mean, it's harassment, isn't it, for a start? And even if it didn't happen to me and I saw them do it to someone else, I still would have reacted the same way.
I believe that, yeah. I mean, there's something to scare the life out of them and I'll never do it again. I mean,
well, they wrote me an apology letter, and I said I didn't want it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did contact, the woman contacted me and said I said I don't want the letter, I just want to make sure it's not done again. Yeah. So I just made an example out of what
like a modern day superhero, Wonder Woman. Yeah,
but I'm not, the muscles aren't functional, are they? Like, you try and make me run like Gal Gadot, I can't do that. I can't run across the war zone.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Maybe in the future, I might change again.
I mean, the next question, we spoke about the questions before, and you said that you may have trouble with this one. Is this the one? Is it?
Problem we've had to solve.
What problem have you had to solve or overcome on your own?
I mean, there's so many to pick from. This is why I'm having trouble picking it. I mean,
well, maybe just tell a couple. Whatever you're comfortable talking about.
Give me a context to work from there. Maybe like a situation. Like, what do you mean, like fitness or general life or?
Well, okay. Let's start with relationships. Have you had any problems with relationships?
Yeah.
Overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give the person airtime. Let's just put it that way.
No. I think that's
because I don't like people relishing off and getting, and I don't want to say, oh my god, she mentioned me. I don't want them to get that. But yeah, I mean, I've been in relationships where I've only been in like 2, 26, which I think is quite good. But it's this, I've been in ones that have been quite controlling. Right. They made me feel like with what I do, I met this specific person at a bodybuilding gym. I was told I can't get any bigger. You're too big for me. you know, it was he had a complex issue basically.
Yeah, that's very controlling, isn't it?
And it was almost like, you know, it got to the point where when you have someone that's got a narcissistic personality, it sort of penetrates you, and then you start thinking, oh, maybe I am too big. And if it wasn't thanks to my mum and my other members of my family, you can't see a situation that you're in. No. You have to have that outside view to sort of be like, look, this is what's going on. But I mean,
hence you being my coach.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I tell you straight.
That is she really does. Yeah, that's tough. And I don't know how long we've been running now, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's not for me. Like that, it's not a big issue. Like I find sometimes that relationship problems and people. Like my relationship problems are very small in comparison to what other women or men can go through in like abusive relationships.
Yeah,
like I mean,
it's all relative. I mean, we can play that game with everything, couldn't we?
Yeah, I just don't like.
Be fair to yourself.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it's very on the scale of things overall. Like my mum, like for instance, like I said with my dad, it was an abusive relationship. So I think in comparison, like people think that you tend to fall into the same sort of thing, and that's what I did not want to do. I didn't want it to be like a continuation of something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it never got to that point for me, luckily.
Which is the same attitude and same sort of principles you took when you made the decision to come out of the industry of, you know, the modelling industry.
Yeah.
You were aware enough to say to yourself, nah, this is not for me.
Yeah, 100%. It just wasn't. I think you have to ride the wave for as long as you can and think, do you know what, I'm going to get off now, because it wasn't doing much. It's boring as well.
Right.
I'd be working in London I was 18 or 19 as a manager in New Look. I used to I have hundreds of shoes and all sorts. Like that doesn't interest me at all anymore. But I'd be doing that, and then I'd go straight onto a night shoot, and I'd be out all day, and then I'd probably go into Covent Gardens or Leicester Square, I can't remember. You'd have your casinos and stuff.
Oh, Covent Garden, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'll go there and I'll go out drinking there, and I mean I'd probably get home at 9 o'clock the next day.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that's not me now.
No, I can't imagine it.
No, it's not me now.
No, you can't. I mean, what about, you know, same question.
Mm-hmm.
What is a problem that you've had to solve or overcome yourself? What business? I mean, because business is hard, and especially, I mean, I was talking to you earlier about social media. It's an absolute mystery to me how you crack that code, because it's. You know, I know, for example, with myself, you know, I'll put hours and hours into a post and I'll put it up and it won't do very well, but then I take a photo of what I had for breakfast and food.
Yeah.
And
it's got to look enticing, I think, and it's got to relate to people. If you look at my Instagram feed maybe from like 2 months ago, because of what I do bodybuilding wise, I'd probably say it's more of a fan page, and not fans only, a fan page. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Not really.
Right, yeah, the viewers will know what that is. It's like, it was literally just pictures of me, bodybuilding, like physique updates, me training, me, quite a self-absorbed sort of thing. And
that's not how you are. It's not how you are.
I know it's not. I know. Like I can't. I mean, bodybuilders are quite self-absorbed in terms of what they do. But
I think you've got to be. You've got to be quite not selfish. It's the wrong word, but it kind of fits. Where you've got to be able to put a lot of things aside to focus on yourself.
Yeah, and it can be problematic for people with their relationship. I'll go down that bit later. But I mean, I had that, and then I had a separate business page, and then I thought, well, I'm not getting any traffic through this one, so I'm going to merge it all into one, and that's what's worked best for me.
I noticed that recently, that you did that.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, for people, it's also showing them that I don't just do bodybuilding for myself. I don't just want to take on athletes. I want to sort of take on people from all walks of life. So it's just.
Yeah. Do you mean that you don't just come out, eat, train, and then freeze?
It'd be awesome if I did.
Only you would say that. That's what I'm looking for. Does that cryogenic chamber or something?
I know. That's why I'm like in prep though, to be fair. I literally get up, do my cardio as it gets later on, eat, train, cardio, bed, and you stick in that. If anyone gets into a routine, it's quite dangerous for them, to be honest.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember trying to have a conversation with you whilst we were at uni, and you looked at me and I was like, you look angry. Kind of leave you alone.
But it's because all the people at uni, I specifically sat when I was finishing my dissertation, and I think it was a 5-hour hand-in, and like obviously had so much going on. I sat myself away from everyone, and then they start coming over and talking to me, so I just told them, blank, just go away, because I don't want to make a mindless conversation with someone that's not going to benefit me, so go away.
And I believe it worked.
It did.
So in a business, what's something you've overcome yourself?
I think now I've gone completely self-employed. Like
That's a massive step.
Yeah, and it's a big risk to take, but if you don't take the risk, you're going to be stuck in something. I mean, I work in gyms. Like for me, I feel like I'm too qualified to work in gym, and that's not me being. Yeah,
I love that. That's
but
great.
I don't feel like I'm being like too much of like a stubborn or arrogant person.
No, you're not. No.
But
you're believing in yourself.
Yeah, and it's too much. I mean, I don't want to stand there and spray down equipment. You know, when I'm doing my masters. Yeah, and
there's nothing wrong with that at the beginning.
No, I mean there's a build up to it. There's a time and a place for everything. But I think I've just overcome that, and the fact that you can give someone advice and they don't want it, or they won't take advice from you because you're a woman. Like sometimes it's a bit like, well, you know, they'll take advice from someone else that has no clue what they're doing. It's quite frustrating. So for that sort of aspect as well, and then it's this type of people that you interact with, like not a lot of them aren't on the same sort of wavelength.
And you're in control now.
Yeah, so it's my business, I work for me, I put the hours in for me, and I think that's better. And
you do put the hours in. I know you're up.
I do.
You're up before me. Not many people are up before me.
I am.
Before me.
But it didn't start like that in lockdown. Like before, when lockdown happened, I got furloughed. I actually got made redundant. That's how nice they were. And then they put us on furlough. And I thought, do you know what? Like about a month in, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's just like existing, not knowing what's going to go on. I'm just going to take the plunge and just go for it.
Take control of your own destiny. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, tell me about what you just mentioned there. You said people not wanting to take advice from you because you're a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because I'm taking all the advice under the sun and it's paying off.
Yeah, but the thing is though, you're of a different mindset and like you're more understanding. Like I've even come to you in terms of powerlifting sort of stuff. Like I don't want to be a powerlifter, but I want to improve my deadlift, for instance.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet though. So.
Yeah, but we're going to do it though. But it's all about knowing that you don't know everything, and maybe sometimes someone knows more than you in a different aspect. You can't know everything.
Not knowing everything and continuing to be a lifelong learner. That's important.
And the second that you think, oh, I know everything, then you're sort of in a point where you're in a bad point, in my opinion. Like people ask me questions about stuff, and if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to give them an answer on it. Like you know, they'll ask me about a medical condition I've never heard of before. Yeah. I could potentially make up a whole load of bullshit and pass it off, but then where's it going to get me, and where's it going to get them? But I've offered guys opinions on stuff before, like men. Normally they're younger and they just don't listen to you, and then they'll have someone else give them advice that's a man that's got no experience in it, doesn't look like they train. I mean, there are people that don't look like they train that know a lot, but generally these people that I worked with at the time didn't know anything, and they take advice from them because it's a guy. Right. So it's frustrating, but I bet
that's frustrating.
I don't want to work with people like that anyway. So for me, it's better that I sort of suss them out there and then they're gone. I mean,
I read somewhere once you're only as good as the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So, you're the average of them or whatever. So I mean, it sounds like you're starting to forge your way yourself now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's better that way, to be honest.
And I think it's best for everyone else. Keep out your way.
Yeah.
I mean, and you think it's paying off? Are you positive about it?
Yeah, I am positive about it. It's doing well. Like you
deserve it.
Thank you. It takes time though. Like I think people expect to have like a snap change, and you know it comes across like that in like business. Even with when I'm getting clients, they're like, I want to lose a stone in a week or 2 weeks, and you're like, what planet are you living on? And like you could potentially do that, but do you know what that entails and like what health implications there are when you want to do something like that?
I mean, I say it a lot to clients. We live in a world now where everything is instant. You know, Netflix, Amazon Prime, iTunes, Audible. Yeah. Everything you want is instant, but this stuff ain't instant. Not, you know, you can do a crash diet if you want to, and it will work. What then? You know.
Yeah, but then you get people who do stuff like lipo as well. Yeah. Like, well, you're just they're sucking fat out. You're just going to put it back on.
That's
Why not change something so you can maintain it? Like
it's all about changing this, isn't it?
It's difficult. It's the educated part of it. It's very difficult for people, I think. Yeah. And sometimes it's an uphill battle, isn't it? But you get there with some people when others don't want to listen. Then you've done your part, and the rest is up to them at that point, isn't it?
And that's it. That you're absolutely right. People, you know, the last piece of the puzzle is ownership. People need to take ownership of their own direction. You know, you've educated them, you've trained them, you supported them, and now you know the last bit is okay. Now here's all your tools. It's time to go off and.
But people don't like that. Some people like to have like a concrete sort of being to point the finger at, to say it's your fault I've not done this, rather than be like, oh, actually it's me.
Who the heck? I would never say it to you.
But the thing is, I like clients to say something to me like, if I'm
I would
doing
never
something,
need to say that to you, to be fair. So.
yeah, like hopefully not. But I mean, if I did do something wrong, I would want someone to say, "Oh, Deb, like, you know, sometimes I might have sent a client something and I've told them to eat 2,000 grams of potato because there's a typo on there." I think I've done that once in my life, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Obviously, they knew it was a typo.
I was going to say, I think some things are obvious. Like,
but then
you said that to me, I'll be like, what?
Yeah, still to me, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that's for me. That's quite bad if I can't find a typo. And that was a while ago now.
So you're quite critical of yourself. As well.
Yeah, I mean, like I like to proofread stuff, but obviously, if you're doing like 7 plans in a day. Like you need to make sure you pace yourself with them and not just make sure they all blend into one. I like to do one, take like 5-10 minutes, freshen up my head a little bit, and then go back in again because I'm not a copy and paster.
No.
But that's another.
I think you can tell when people are on the diets and they've got foods that are only grown in Hawaii or something.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
wow.
Honestly, yeah, it's bad.
Okay, so this one is tricky. What is the most painful thing you've ever been through in your life?
I think I kind of answered that with question 3, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did.
I think that's so the whole sort of thing of like moving back here due to like my dad being the way he is. I think that's probably like the hardest thing for me personally.
How do you feel about your dad?
I don't like him.
Moving on.
I don't. I mean, I can talk about it. Like,
is he still alive?
He is. He tried to contact me a few years ago because he did bodybuilding, but he didn't do bodybuilding very well. He had very bad legs, so I tend to point the finger at him for mine.
Don't look. Oh, sorry. I can understand the leg thing.
Yeah, well, I'm growing them. They're getting there. I have taken note of what the judges have said, and it's not that I don't train them. It's the fact that maybe I didn't train them the way I needed to at the time. So it's all a process, isn't it?
It is all a process. It's a learning, you know, and the best teacher is unfortunately sometimes having a bit of a failure here and there, isn't it?
You've got to. You have to.
Well, you do, and it's being able to say to yourself, like, what did I learn from that?
Yeah.
You know, and I can tell straight off the bat that you're one of them people.
I am.
I bet you've never repeated the same mistake twice, right?
Maybe in some things, but not major things. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're happy to move on from that one?
Yeah. I think I've kind of answered it, haven't I? I don't want to give him more airtime than he deserves anyway, so.
Fair enough. Here's a tricky one for you. What makes you uniquely you?
Well, I've already said this before, I'm quite blunt with people.
I like the way you use blunt, that's good.
I am, but I'm quite straightforward and it gets me in trouble a lot of the time, but I don't care.
Give me an example.
Well, when someone asks you, like, what's your opinion on this? So I had someone the other day ask me, they're a beginner, like, let's say down the train line, and they've just started weights. They've probably not even picked up a 2 kilo dumbbell, and they're already wanting to do like low rep range, do powerlifting sort of style stuff. They want to start using PEDs and stuff, and I would just reply with, "That's fucking stupid." I would.
I'd imagine that's word for word as well.
It was, and I said, "That's just why. Like, why would you do that?" And they're like, "Well, so and so's. I don't care if so and so's doing it. This is one of my clients as well." But I mean, I'll say it to anyone.
Yeah.
I'm quite ruthless with people. Like even with my family.
That gets results, right?
Yeah, but I'm like it with my family members sometimes, and it's maybe I need to like pull back a little bit off that. But I can't. I haven't got a switch. I can turn it off.
Yeah. You have or you haven't?
I haven't. Right. I haven't. It's very difficult for me to turn it off.
I shall remember that in the deadlift session.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm asking you, like I've asked you, like if someone gives me an opinion and I haven't asked for it, then I might get a little bit irritated.
That is irritating though, isn't it?
But it depends who it comes from. Like if I had, you know, a top end bodybuilder that's like a record breaker and that they know what they're doing, or someone's really good in their field and they gave me an opinion and I didn't ask for it, I would take that on board. But I don't like random people give me opinions.
It depends, I suppose it's context, isn't it? It depends where it's coming from, you know.
Yeah, like say for like, not that I've had anyone say this to me, but say I had someone try to tell me how to train back, and then I looked on their profile and they look like a piece of spaghetti. I'm not really going to listen to the information that they've just given me, am I?
I suppose not. No evidence.
That sounds harsh, but like, and going back on that, like I said, people can look like they don't train and know how to train people very well and make them look very good. But I'm talking about like more so like when you get like trolls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when you come at somebody like that, you would like to think that, you know, with that level of arrogance and confidence that they would have something special going on.
Yeah, you've got to back it up, haven't you?
Yeah,
you've got nothing to back it up. You can go that way, can't you?
Piece of spaghetti. I've not actually ever heard of that. It's pretty clever. I like that. Good word place. Right, okay, so another question is, what's one thing that people always ask you for help with?
What, in terms of training nutrition wise?
Yeah, so like, I know, for example, if I go to a kids' party, I'll always get asked, what's the best exercises for abs, something like that. But I mean, I suspect it's different.
Right, so that, you've probably had this spot reducing stuff. Like localizing fat burning, like how can I, like that, how can I get rid of my belly fat? Yeah. Do I need to do A, B, C, D exercises and like target? No, your body does not work. Like, do you imagine how amazing that would be?
That would be great.
If you had like perfect body fat everywhere else and you're holding a bit here and you're like, oh, can you shift some off there? Let's do these exercises and it burns it straight off.
Yeah, no, that's...
That's why I'm going to do it. That's why I have like frequently like an FAQs sort of thing for people. And I have like, when people ask me certain questions, I have a ready-made answer, because if you type out that question thousands of times, it starts to get a bit frustrating, doesn't it?
So what would you answer that question with? Someone who said to you that question about spot reducing, what would you...
I'd say you cannot spot reduce. I'd probably tell them what I just told you, but maybe in a manner that's not so blunt, because...
I don't know.
But remember, for some people, it's quite, they might not know anything at all about exercise or nutrition. So you can't, because you've answered it so many times, you can't take the frustration of having the same question out on that person.
No.
So I'd be like, look, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to make sure, either implement through nutrition or nutrition and exercise. That's the way you're going to do it. Unfortunately, we can't localize body fat. We can't spot reduce. It'd be great if we did, but we can't. So these are the ways you can do it. Then I would sort of ask them what their kind of regime is, training nutrition wise, delve into that, see what their problem is, why they're having a problem with that in particular. Again, it could be hormonal or something again. So you don't know, do you? You've got to sort of ask them and see what gets the sort of root of the problem, haven't you?
I mean, I always find in them situations that unfortunately what people are always often asking is, what's the quickest way? What's the simplest way? What's the easiest way? No, but that's not what they want to
hear. It's the consistent way. It's the consistent way, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, and a bit of patience.
Yeah, like I don't understand why people are in such a rush. I mean, when I first started bodybuilding, I looked at people absolutely shredded. I was like, I'll never look like that. I did. I'm still not happy with the way I look on stage. Obviously, that's the whole part of bodybuilding. But I never thought I would look like that. But I took the time to, I've been doing it 5 years now, and it just takes time, and for me it's the long run. This is the longest time I've ever stuck to anything, which means I do enjoy it.
Absolutely. Have you always had a coach, or did you try it yourself?
I coached myself for the first 3 years, so I did that from obviously uni, like learning stuff at uni. Then I was doing my own research. Like my partner at the time was really into, but he was the one that got me into bodybuilding. I just used to run all the time. I thought lifting weights was horrible. I thought same sort of thing like women say, isn't it? Oh, I don't want to look like a man, all that kind of rubbish.
Explain that to people that might watch this. Why is that important?
Yeah, I think first of all, you're not going to pick up a weight and suddenly sprout muscles.
Again, living proof of that.
No, but I mean, but again, like you've only been doing this seriously since since what, November? Yeah. That's a very short time. Like if you compare you to me, I'm better. If you compare you to me, how many's that? October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That's 9 months. Yeah.
I mean, the context on that is that I want to do a men's physique competition.
Yeah, it's going to take time.
Yeah, and COVID-19 has put a stop to not necessarily my progress, because I'm lucky enough to have this gym, but it put a stop to goals. We had a goal, didn't we?
Yeah, I was meant to compete this year as well, and I haven't. Yeah. But it's the same thing. I've been doing it for 5 years, so someone might come off the bat and compare themselves to me. Like you look at me 5 years ago, you wouldn't think I look like the way I do now. From me 5 years ago, I was literally a stick. So, but going back to the question, like you're not gonna look bulky lifting weight. If you want to look like me or like any other bodybuilder that's quite serious, you have to want to look like that. Yeah. You're not going to miraculously wake up one morning after doing a few curls and a few squats and look like Hulk Hogan. Do you know what I mean?
Oh man! Please dress up as Hulk Hogan.
No,
I think
it would look bad. I already get called trans and stuff by people.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, like sometimes it all comes with it, doesn't it? But doesn't affect me.
You told me some interesting.
It doesn't affect me though. I'm quite thick-skinned, but others maybe. But kind of what's that word that they used to use in uni? Who was it? Callum used to say it all the time. Do you remember?
I don't.
He's like, oh yeah, didacted or something like that. It's like when we went off topic.
Right.
Do you not remember that?
Always off topic, but yeah.
Do you not remember that?
No, I zoned out quite a little.
Oh yeah, it used to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying this to my friend the other day. When I lived in London, I was in the point where I was doing fashion modelling. I used to go to the gym to run on a treadmill, which is kind of pointless because I had a good enough area to run around in.
Yes.
And I remember seeing a woman in there at the time, and she was in very good shape, very muscular, shredded. And at that time, I remember it as clear as day. I was like, that looks disgusting. Like in my head, I was like, that looks horrible.
That's interesting.
And now, if I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, that woman is awesome. So my mindset's completely changed. So I think it's all down to the individual and what they want.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like that at the time. I think it looked hot. I was once to look like a stick. I remember someone saying that one time I was growing a bum, and I was completely offended at the time.
And now?
Now, that's all I can think about is growing everything. So it's not, you're not going to look like a man if you lift weights. Like like I said, it takes time to look like that, and you have to want to look like it.
You have to be deliberate.
Yeah, you have to eat a lot. You have to lift a lot. Like you have to make sure your intensity is matching like what you expect. So if your intensity is not there, if you want to lift like light weights all the time, there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you want to maintain have slight definition, fine.
But if you want everything else,
you've got to keep pushing. That's just the way it is.
That's important, I think, because there is that's a huge misconception that just doesn't seem to go away.
It's one of the first things I get when women sign up with me is I don't like. It's not offensive. Like I don't want to look like you. I'm like, right. First of all, there's that famous saying from Arnie. Like someone said, "Oh, I don't want to look like you," and he says, "Oh, you don't worry, you never will." It's the same sort. It's the same sort of thing, though, isn't it? Like you can't look like anyone else anyway because that's them and you're you.
Yeah.
But
especially Arnie, come on.
Yeah, like you're not trying to create like little clones of yourself. For me, it's just like the way I am just shows that I'm dedicated to what I'm doing. I can get you to where you need to be. This is how I want to look. But it's sort of like a card to show you, like, I can get you to the way you want to look. I have lifestyle clients that just want to lose weight and like firm up a little bit. I have people that want to compete. I have people that maybe need to put on some weight because they're not in the best place, like psychologically and mentally. Yeah. So it's a broad spectrum of people that you're going to cover.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to create people to look like me. Like that's not what I'm about. I like bodybuilding. That's my specialty. That's what I love. But I'm not trying to make everyone look like that. And sometimes they think if I have my coach looks like this, her training methods are going to make me look like her. That's not the case, is it? Like you're not trying to make all your athletes look like you, are you?
Well, a lot of them are women. So
there you go.
I would hate that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't get when females will hire like a male trainer or vice versa. You wouldn't think they're trying to make them look. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. Absolutely.
I don't know.
Next question. Last question, in fact, until we get on to other stuff. What are some of the greatest lessons that you've learned in your life?
You've got to do things by yourself. You can't expect people to do them for you.
Amazing answer. I love that.
You do. Like, even little things. Like I'll ask people to do stuff for me and I'm waiting. I'm like, right, I'm going to do it myself now. And it takes longer, but it's worth doing because I know it's done then.
Yeah.
Little things like that. I think that's the main sort of thing I would say. I've had help with people from stuff like obviously like my family's helped me with stuff, my friends have helped me with things, but like general on the like bigger scale of things, I've had to do a lot of it myself because it just doesn't. And the thing is, if you get someone else to do it for you, it's never the way you want it. They'll do it completely wrong, and then you've got to do it again anyway.
I get told that in the house all the
time.
Yeah,
there you
go.
My
wife, she tells me that a lot.
She's probably not wrong.
Wow. Okay.
It's getting warm in here.
Yeah, it's getting warm. So
I'm not getting my muscles out there. Sorry, guys. Got to get a bit there in.
Yeah. So I mean, just to finish up, what are your goals now? I mean, you know, what are you weighing? You know, all that sort of stuff. And what's your goal? When do you think you'll next compete?
So I'm weighing. This is very precise, but I know obviously to do checking. So I'm weighing at 77.2, I think, which is the heaviest I've ever been in my life.
Is it?
Yeah,
wow.
It's very heavy for me.
Feeling alright about it?
I'm feeling fine. Like, obviously, I'm carrying a little bit more body fat. Thank you. I'm carrying more body fat, but for me, I quite enjoy the way I am. I like my off season. I've had times in off seasons where I've been super sloppy. So I've eaten like clean food, but then I've eaten a load of shit on top of it.
Right.
And then when it comes down to prep, I've got to get it all off. You know, I've got to strip off like 16 kilos worth of fat potentially. So for me, like I've sort of, as I've gone through different ones, I've learned like this one I've been super clean. You know, I'll have on my rest days, I'll have one plan. Like I've given you, for instance, very similar.
Yep.
I have like an off meal plan. I always get this wrong. Off plan meal. There we go.
Sorry, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, but these guys probably won't know what I mean.
Fair
And
enough.
I'll have something that I want, you know, and I don't really want it. Like when I put clean stuff in, I can really feel like the benefit of doing that. When I don't really like junk food. The only time I like that is when I can't have it in prep.
Prep, yeah. Well, that's the mind game, isn't it?
And but
I've not done it yet.
No, but you'll look forward to it. Like you've done a cut,
Yeah.
so you know the sort of aspects of it. But in that cut, we did, you know, sometimes you had times off, and you know that was more realistic to what was going on at the time for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, in prep, it would be strict. If you're like, Deb, can I have this meal? It'd be like, no. Like, can I have? No, you can't have that. Like that's how it will be.
I better remember that, hadn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, you've got to go on stage.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
and
Right.
I've had preps before where I've eaten things I shouldn't have. Oh, spat then. Spraying Corona. I've had times that I've cheated on my prep, like a long time ago, and you know, you step on stage and you're like, shit, you know, I shouldn't have done that, and I don't ever want to come on stage feeling like I've not given it my all.
That's
so
nice.
I've kept this prep as clean as I can. I can't eat stuff like that anyway. I've not got the best stomach for it. Like from modelling, where I ate that jacket potato once a day, I made myself dairy intolerant. I made myself my stomach quite bad from doing stuff like that.
Oh man. Yeah.
But I mean, from time to time, like I used to be like, oh, I'll have a bit of chocolate, and I was like, Mum's like, you know what to do, and I'd eat it, and I'd blow out, I look like 9 months pregnant, and I'm like,
You'd like severe with it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I'd be like, oh, it's worth it, and then I'm like, no, like I like dark chocolate anyway, so I'll have that's in my diet.
Aren't you lucky?
I know, I'm very lucky, but. So yeah, that's where I'm at with off season. I was supposed to compete in the Arnold's in, I think it's December now, it got moved from, because I came second at UK BFF, so the qualifiers, and then I was going to, I know, thank you.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
I wanted first.
Yeah.
It's not good enough, but you know.
But that's you, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, it's just
You'd
down.
dreamed a second 5 years ago.
No, I know, and it's just annoying though, because I didn't have the condition I needed, and it's always, for me, it's always condition. Obviously my legs need to be brought up. It's just the condition for me is difficult, and I think it's something that comes with time. Sometimes it's genetics, or sometimes I probably just wasn't working hard enough, maybe. But you never know.
Always taking ownership, I love that. I mean, so when do you think you'll compete?
So I'm at
Have any competitions been released or anything?
Yeah, so there's some at the end of, I think there's some in October, November sort of time. I think they're like 2 bros ones, so IFBB qualifying ones, and I think there's some PCA ones as well. But I think I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. I don't feel like I've had enough access to equipment that I need to progress. I have progressed, but I think I could have progressed.
I'd say you progressed.
Thank you. I think I have, but I think I could have progressed a lot more if I'd had access to a gym. So
you don't know that though, because I think your approach is very. I think that dictates a lot. To be honest.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I just, again, I wouldn't feel comfortable stepping on stage not giving it my all. So I'm going to have the remainder of the year off season, and then next season, which I believe starts around March time, I will then be maybe prepping over Christmas.
Maybe over Christmas.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't care. I've been eating food all the time, haven't I? I've had enough. Bulking, it gets enough. Like when you're eating, it does get to the point you're like,
I'm not there yet because I don't think you've even.
No, not yet.
No,
not yet.
I can't imagine eating more at this stage, but I'm.
But the thing is, though, I don't think we need to touch. There's a bit of fluff. I don't think we need to touch anything at this stage. If your weight's slowly increasing like it is, that's what we want. If it's doing big jumps or it's maintaining, then we know we need to slightly pull the calories up.
Yeah.
You know, people are too happy with their calories. They're like, I'm on a bulk. I'm going to go from eating like 1,500 calories to 5,000 calories. It's just, you try jumping that big, it's hard. Then you try holding on to 5,000 calories. What you can't metabolize, you might not be able to metabolize that. No. Then you start to get fat and
you've got to train your body, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to train the body.
Sorry for the swearing, but.
Don't worry, it's all right. Well, I mean, I think we're at the end. Debs, it was amazing. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the effort, and as always, absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing it.
You're welcome.
Good. I want to thank Deborah Baker for her time today and for her honesty. It was very refreshing to hear from somebody who sees both sides of the bodybuilding sport, both as a coach and as a competitor. It was very insightful. But my takeaway today, and this is just my takeaway, is the advice she gave on opinions. Always consider your source. I loved that. You know, some people try to pass on what they believe to be facts, but they're actually opinions. And it's our job to be aware of that. And I think Deborah touched on that nicely. Thanks for watching, and please tune in next week for another interview.